So there we go. 13 years.
Actually, it's 14. We opened in the fall. We're in our 14th year. We opened in the fall of
14
'06.
years.
Yeah.
What are your favorite things we've done? You like the Oscars parties
I
over
love the
here?
Oscars parties. I think they're a great time. They really are.
How about New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve is always fun in the end, but it's a challenging, tough night.
Not so much.
Yeah, I would have to say for me that the favorite things that we do for me, and I think you as well, are the wine dinners.
Yep, I would agree. Wine dinners. I remember the first one with Bob Pacoda, Uncle Bob, right in this room.
Yeah, and then we've done, 4 or 5 with Craig and Vicki Luthold from Maryhill Winery out of Washington
So
State.
much fun. Yeah, I agree. Concur.
And many more.
Wine dinners. We've been doing wine dinners almost since we opened in 2006. It's one of our favorite events. A chance for the whole community to gather and share the same meal, the same experience, and learn a little something along the way. We have a speaker who is often with the winery when we are featuring a certain winery, someone familiar with the geographic area or region we are celebrating. At its best, it is travel on a plate, since learning about an area, trying its cuisine and its wines, is halfway to being there yourself. When we look back on these images and all the dishes Geri and I have made and shared with our many friends and restaurant family, I am struck by the wealth of joy that we have earned these many years, and am reassured that the greatest reward of a life in this maddening, thrilling, and fulfilling business is the people. The handshakes, the hugs, and the heartfelt thank yous. In this time of sacrifice and struggle, here's to more fellowship. This next dish is one we served at an Italian dinner a few years ago. I believe we paired it with an Arnaise from Piedmont, but any crisp white with bright acidity would pair well, such as Sancerre or even a Vino Verde. Here we have seared scallops with sweet corn risotto and tomato relish. For this dish, I prefer to use jumbo sea scallops. These are referred to as U10s, meaning there are under 10 scallops per pound. However, in this instance, due to the coronavirus outbreak, U10s were not available. These scallops are 1020s, which means there are 10 to 20 scallops per pound. I have 8 here, represents about a half a pound. You want to make sure you use dry packed scallop, or day boat scallop. These brown the best. If they were wet packed, it means they were held in brine, which, though it extends the shelf life, they are plumped with a saline solution and will release that moisture when they hit the hot pan, and they'll generally steam before they sear. Scallops have a side abductor muscle which needs to be removed if present. Sometimes your fishmonger will remove this. Once you have your scallops cleaned, we'll make a simple tomato relish. Blend chopped Roma tomatoes or grape tomatoes, fine sliced red onion, basil, olive oil, and salt. Splash in some champagne vinegar and then set this aside. Now let's prep the risotto. For this, we'll need a cup of arborio rice. You really need a round, short grain rice to build the necessary starches during the cooking process. You'll need 6 ears of sweet corn, minced shallots, garlic, scallions, white wine, and clear chicken stock or water, nothing dark, butter, and Parmesan cheese. Start by removing the corn kernels from the cob. Run a knife along the edge like this. If you put a small plate in a large bowl, you'll pick up less kernels off the floor. Reserve a cup of the corn and place the rest in a food processor. Grind the corn until smooth. Then I use a fine mesh screen to strain out the liquid gold. You can squeeze it through a cheesecloth as well. You want to reserve the liquid and discard the solids. Now saute the remaining corn in some butter. Cook it so there is still a bit of crunch, and then season with salt and black pepper. Set this aside. Now for the risotto. You will need more stock than you will use. So because you might need more, Start with at least 2 quarts of stock or a stock and water mix. This needs to be hot. You will also need the corn liquor handy. This gets added right at the end. Saute shallots in olive oil. Add the garlic until fragrant, then add the arborio rice. You want to coat the rice in the hot oil and toast it for a minute. Now add the wine and reduce a bit. When you're at this stage, begin adding stock a couple ladles at a time. Now listen, there is no way around this. To make good risotto, you gotta stir. As the water evaporates, the starches concentrate and create that creaminess. The difference between risotto and paella is you want a crust at the bottom of your paella, not at the bottom of your risotto. Keep tasting your risotto and adding stock as needed. Keep it wet, but not swimming. As you taste, you're checking for the doneness of the rice, not the seasoning. We're going to add the salt at the end. Adding the salt too soon is counterproductive. It continues to concentrate as the water evaporates, and you get a false sense of seasoning. Wait until the end. When you feel the rice is about 2/3 done, we'll start the scallops. Season the scallops with salt and pepper. Heat clarified butter in a nonstick pan, and when quite hot, set the scallops down. Big point here, don't move them. This is the key stage. Let them sear. When you see the crust begin to form on the bottom, and you see the color go about halfway up the scallop, drop a pat of butter in the pan and turn the scallops over. You can set the scallops aside at this point. At this size, they'll finish in the pan with the residual heat. If they were slightly larger scallops, you might want to pop them in the oven for a couple of minutes to finish cooking. Now we'll finish the risotto. For the last addition of liquid, we add the corn liquor and the sweet corn. Now we taste for salt and pepper. Add a little cold butter, scallions, and some Parmesan cheese, and then we're ready. Some people have asked, what's the difference between cooking at home versus the restaurant? Well, aside from the space limitations and the equipment limitations, the answer? No dishwasher. To serve, spoon a bit of the risotto into a large bowl. Top with a few of the scallops, and then garnish with tomato relish. This is a summer dish. The later in the summer you buy your fresh corn and tomatoes, the more intense the sweetness will be. But enjoy anytime. Thanks for joining.